Soon may the wellerman come, bring us coffee, tea, and rum. One day the tonguing is done, take our leave and go. At a fair in the sun of town, her hair was blonde and her dress was brown. Soon may the wellerman come around.
It's still early on the first day of this overnight jaunt in my home-built 15-foot sailing skiff. It's an island-hopping marathon. I'll be exploring as many of the small islands of the Cumberland as possible in 2 days, using only sail and oars, no motor, and I plan to sleep out on one island in particular. I'm preparing to depart Honker Shoal, which is the first of a series of several small islands and dry shoals on the Cumberland. I say my goodbyes to the sand and the pelicans, that's about all there is on Honker Shoal, and prepare to set sail on a long downwind run to the next stop. The pelicans look on apathetically as I leave Honker Shoal to windward with an exciting voyage ahead. The next stop is North Pelican Island, several kilometers to the south, and I've never set foot on North Pelican Island before. With a steady north wind at the stern, I should be in for some smooth sailing. The north wind started out slow and steady, but it was slowly building, and to tell you the truth, I would have almost preferred that it remained slow and steady, as this is an unfamiliar section of river to me, and I'm actually traveling over some very shallow flats with many underwater hazards to crash into. This inundated river bottom just outside the natural Cumberland Channel is littered with all kinds of hazards such as stumps, dead timber, rocks, and even houses and old house foundations. At high water during summer, you can get away with sailing over these kind of areas no problem, but this time of year in the fall, the water has dropped several feet, so I have to be really careful. Some of the obstacles are plain to see, but some of them are hidden. As the wind builds to a crescendo, my little wooden skiff is skating right along at full speed. It's about this time my instincts are telling me that I'm coming up on a shallow area to starboard, and I feel that I need to shift my course to port, to the east. This course adjustment will require jibing, which means bringing the sails from one side of the boat to the other as I turn through the wind. Jibing in strong wind is usually a bad idea. It's a good way to break something, but I felt that was my best option at the time. I wanted to shift course quickly, and I didn't want to lose momentum by tacking, which would essentially result in spinning a full circle up into the eye of the wind. I begin the jibe by gradually steering to port as I simultaneously trim the main end close to the center line of the boat in an effort to ease its transition across. The main turns over nice and smooth, but the mizzen is not cooperating, and I've yet to realize it. In my experience, the mizzen will usually jibe itself if it's not trimmed too far out. Well, apparently I didn't realize it was trimmed too far out, causing excessive pressure on the sail as it was pushed forward rather than turning over the other direction. The snodder line, which is just a small piece of rope that holds the forward end of the boom to the mizzen mast, actually snapped completely in half. That's the first time I've had a line just outright snap. Maybe it was a bad idea using that cotton hardware store clothesline. On the other hand, I would rather the snodder fail than something more important or more expensive. It shouldn't be difficult to repair in the field, but I can't focus on that right now. I'm in the thick of it, on an uncharted seaway in a blow, so I've got to focus on navigating. Limping along under just the main, with the mizzen furled and trouble behind me, I'm feeling confident. The chance of anything else going wrong on this run has to be slim, right? Pennants are now available at cumberlandrover.com. Historically flown for signal purposes, a pennant is that indescribable something that your boat is missing. They can help you read the wind increase visibility of your small craft, and they just look cool, fluttering from the masthead or yard of a lug sail. You can have any color you want, as long as it's bright red. I have 2 styles of pennant now available at cumberlandrover.com. I felt the unmistakable thump of my skiff slamming into something under the water. The wooden hull magnified the sound like a bass drum, and I could actually feel the strike in the bottom planking. It didn't seem like a rise in terrain, it seemed more like one isolated object like a stump. Luckily, the skiff just bounced off and kept chugging. I dropped an oar down to check the depth, and sure enough, I was floating in about 12 inches of water. So to be cautious, I take the main down and drift off of the shallow area. I checked the depth again about a minute later, and I had a full oar's height of depth, so about 7 feet, which is more than enough. I was now in sight of North Pelican Island and preparing to turn up wind soon and reach for it, but I was starting to wonder whether I would really have good water between here and the island. This wire crossing and these utility towers emerging from the river kind of spoiled the scenery, but the cormorants don't seem to mind at all. They've found it a suitable roost for their flock. Cormorants are a type of water bird that fish by diving. I encounter them frequently out here on the Cumberland. The cormorant is sort of an underrated bird. You don't really hear them spoken of much, and they could be easily overlooked, but I find them pretty interesting. With the sandy banks and wispy willows of North Pelican Island now in sight, I begin turning up wind to make my final approach. My raggedy, broke-down mizzen is still furled around the mast, so reaching with just the main, the skiff is kind of wallowing around a bit for lack of power. This big piece of dead wood is a perfect example of the type of hazards I face out here on the shallow flats. This one is plain to see, but many of them aren't, and those are the ones that'll get you. With an eventful sail behind me, I was looking forward to exploring North Pelican Island. It'll be the first time I've ever set foot here, or really gotten anywhere near it, and there seems to be plenty to look at. Unlike Honker Shoal, this island is wooded and fairly sizable. I look forward to exploring it together on the next episode of River Islands, presented by Cumberland River.
Sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship. The mate was a mighty sailing man, the skipper brave and sure. 5 passengers set sail that day for a 3-hour tour. Started getting rough, the tiny ship was tossed. If not for the courage of the fearless crew, the minnow would be lost. The minnow would be lost. The ship set ground on the shore of this uncharted desert isle, with Gilligan, the skipper too. His wife, the movie star, the professor and Mary Ann, here on Gilligan's Isle.
Pennants are now available at cumberlandrover.com. Historically flown for signal purposes, a pennant is that indescribable something that your boat is missing. They can help you read the wind, increase visibility of your small craft, and they just look cool, fluttering from the masthead or yard of a lug sail. You can have any color you want, as long as it's bright red. I have 2 styles of pennant now available at cumberlandrover.com.